The Ugly Stepsister is out in theaters, feature debut of director Emilie Blichfeld. This is a Norwegian, Polish, Danish, Romanian, Swedish co-production that is essentially a dark comedy body horror retelling of the Cinderella fairy tale from the perspective of the ugly stepsister. In this version, which is much closer to the original Brothers Grimm version than, let's say, the Disney adaptation, takes place in a much more grounded, cynical, shitty world, although still with some magical elements to it. And we follow Elvira, one of Cinderella's stepsisters. She isn't ugly per se, but I would describe her as unconventionally beautiful. But she thinks, and then sort of society around her think she's too fat, that her nose is too big, that her teeth are crooked, and so on. And she is hopelessly in love with the idea of marrying a romantic prince. So when the prince of the land announces a ball to find a wife for himself, Elvira begins to undergo various body transformations in order to become, in her own mind, truly beautiful. So I love this film. It's one of my favorites of the year so far. I think it strikes a fantastic balance between disgusting body horror, dark humor, dark sort of derelict fairy tale, and a kind of inevitable Greek tragedy element where the character is doomed to a terrible fate either way. I loved how Elvira is not a villain in this version of the story, but more of a victim of herself and others, and how for both her and Cinderella, securing marriage to the prince is the only way out of poverty. I loved how, each of the main characters is also some sort of twisted, fucked up version of themselves. Again, Elvira goes through all these stupid changes without thinking of consequences. Her mother encourages her to do all of that while being a cynical sex pest herself. Cinderella says she's in love with the stable boy, who she shamelessly fucks, but she also states outright she has to forego love in order to marry a rich guy if she is to survive in this world. Even the prince is shown to be a shithead when we meet him in the woods for the first time. The only reasonable and sane character in the entire story is Alma, the younger sister, and I was very happy to see how she plays into the ending and how that is somewhat hopeful against all odds. I love the costumes, sets, cinematography, all of that very good. Music is really interesting with a lot of unexpected 1970s disco and synths, which fit the vibe surprisingly well. The sound design is terrific, especially the sort of squelching, unpleasant sounds of the body horror sequences, but also the constant stomach grumbling of Elvira after she eats the tapeworm egg, which, by the way, there are some absolutely disgusting sequences in the film in terms of body horror. Think The Substance. If you don't like that shit, trust me, this is definitely not a movie for you. You will not enjoy it. I consider myself fairly resistant to shock value like this, and even I had to literally look away a couple of times. Finally, I want to mention the performances, which are all very good, but especially Lea Miren as Elvira is just sensational. Very committed to the role, very physical performance, super impressive all the way through. All in all, a deeply enjoyable film in a fucked up way that I think achieves everything it sets out to do. Great fun.